3 months into the job, the Prime Minister set himself this ambitious task.
NHS waiting lists will fall. We have a plan to bring down waiting lists. It's really important to me that we cut NHS waiting lists.
15 months later, NHS stats now show a different picture. The overall number of people waiting for routine treatment in February was 7.54 million, down from the month before, but these figures now no longer include some types of care. A key target was to eliminate all waits of over 65 weeks, but there was still 75,000 on their list. And in A&E, the target for 76% of patients to be admitted within 4 hours was missed. Instead, 74.26% of patients were seen within this time.
Whilst we haven't made as much progress as I would have liked, today's figures show that we are making headway towards that goal. Over the last 5 months, a reduction of around 200,000 in the overall waiting list, which is positive. And if it wasn't for industrial action, an extra 430,000 patients would have been treated.
The Prime Minister promised to cut waiting lists. They are now higher than when he became Prime Minister. We've got an absolute disaster in ambulance response times and the NHS still in the grips of the worst crisis in its history.
And it was a good 6-hour journey.
Alison was one of those patients trying to get admitted to A&E last year after suffering chest pains. She has chronic unstable angina and was made to wait outside her hospital in Cornwall in an ambulance for hours.
We looked at the waiting lists at Derriford, which is the next nearest one, then Exeter, then Bristol, and they were all just as bad with ambulances waiting outside.
Feeling like she had no other choice, her husband drove 230 miles to London to get help there.
In the end, I just felt so poorly and so desperate. My husband drove me up there. He was really, really frightened. We didn't really know. I was very poorly. He was frightened. He thought I was going to die, actually.
With local elections and a general election on the horizon, the government are keen to reiterate their pledge today to cut NHS waiting lists. Labour say they will end unacceptable waits, and both parties are sounding increasingly similar on NHS reform. With no clear dividing line between the two parties, it may be that the battle now is over who the public trust on delivery over policy. For a nation that values its NHS, it will be for voters to decide very soon whose hands they place it in next. Serena BARKER-SINGH, Sky News, Westminster.